This week's blog post is 5 favorites from the National Gallery in London. First section about the National Gallery. Unlike the Louvre and the Prado, whose earliest holdings came from royalty, the National Gallery evolved from a collection of 38 paintings that were purchased by the British government from a private individual. Since 1824, its collection has increased to more than 2,300 paintings that range from the mid-13th to the late 19th centuries. The main building on Trafalgar Square was constructed in 1838 and has been expanded piecemeal since then. First favorite, Giovanni Bellini, Doge Leonardo Loredan, circa 1501. The character, the colors, the textures make this a wonderful portrait by the same artist who painted the Frick's St. Francis in the Desert, which I love for entirely non-religious reasons. I explained those in my book, How to Analyze and Appreciate Paintings, and that is St. Francis on the cover. Second favorite, Botticelli, Venus and Mars, probably painted in the 1480s. Pretty silly, or pretty and silly. I always find the faces of Botticelli women gorgeous. Number 3, Roger Campin, Portrait of a Woman, around 1435. I kept thinking, she looks like a nun. I shouldn't like her. Studying her was one of my earliest experiences of having my emotions radically changed by looking at a painting in detail. For more on this painting, see my blog post of August 2017. If you go to Diane Durante Writer and search for Campin, they'll turn up. These were part of my first unpublished book on art analysis. More about that in a minute. Fourth favorite, Titian, Bacchus and Ariadne, 1523. The colors and details of early Titian paintings are amazing. This and Titian's portrait of a man in a red cap at the Frick leap to mind. Late Titian, And the fifth is Rubens' Autumn Landscape with a view of Hetstein, 1636. I sent this one to my Sunday recommendations list in April 2017 with this comment. Since Protestantism forbade religious images, paintings of earthly subjects became common in wealthy Dutch homes during the 17th century. Rubens, 1577 to 1640, was famous throughout Europe for his portraits and narrative paintings. This portrait of his own country estate was apparently painted for his own enjoyment, and it kept growing. The wooden support now consists of 17 different pieces of wood. Morel's book on Rubens' technique has a detailed discussion of this work and 9 others. Next section, on me and the National Gallery. Back in 1987, I heard Marianne Sherris give a fabulous talk about emotional reactions to art, what various people reacting to in certain works of art and why. I'd been interested in art history for years, and I left her talk excited to study it from that point of view. Then I realized I hadn't a clue how to state the theme of a work of visual art, or how to pin down the cause of one's emotional reaction. I worked for 10 years or so, getting from visuals to words and figuring out how to discuss emotional reactions to works of art. Eventually, that resulted in 2 articles for the Objective Standard, which I turned into Kindle books, the 2 that are on the screen, Getting More Enjoyment from Art You Love, and How to Analyze and Appreciate Paintings. The unpublished prequel to those was a book of 11 essays on paintings at the National Gallery in London. I planned to self-publish that in black and white, and for illustrations to have people buy what I consider the best of the National Gallery's guidebooks. It took me a year or more to write and polish the essays, and by that time the National Gallery's guidebook had gone out of print. It was replaced with a series of prohibitively expensive guidebooks on separate schools of painting. So I picked out another set of paintings and started all over again. Because I tend to love works that I've studied in detail, I have far more favorites at the National Gallery that I can list in this post of 5 favorites. But now that I've remembered those essays, perhaps I'll post them on Diane Durante Writer eventually. Meanwhile, if you go to the blog post, which is at the top of this screen, there are a list of almost Rands, which include Masaccio, Uccello, Chardin, Turner, Van Eyck, Albert Dürer, Hans Holbein the Younger, Titian, another Titian, Van Dyck, and Goya. To join my free Sunday recommendations list, visit the URL on screen or email me. You can also support me starting at $5 a month or follow me on Patreon. And check out DianeDuranteWriter.com for hundreds of posts on sculpture, painting, music, poetry, Central Park, and my other obsessions. Thank you, as always, for listening.